Hey, tolerators, it's me, Natalie, with your before show updates on all things Team Tolerator. So, we are sitting on the January, February, March side of life. And what does that look like? Well, it looks like the misogyny meltdown over on Patreon is well underway. That is a new series and show that I am producing for Patreon members only because there is a lot of scripting and a lot of vulnerability going on. I've already sang a song, I've already produced a skit, I'm already writing comedy. So go take a chance on the misogyny meltdown in the way that To All the Men I've Tolerated Before is expanding and evolving with the link in the show notes. For January, we celebrated the Misogynist of the Year award ceremony. For February, we are focusing on the concept of love and self love being part of the resistance. And in March, why, yes, we're still going to do seasonal things with celebrating International Women's Month. And all of that will be wrapped up into our new variety show, Misogyny Meltdown. I cannot wait for you to check it out. Hey, tolerators, this is To All the Men I've Tolerated Before with Natalie Katona, your weekly look at everyday misogyny. Today, my guest is one of my favorite people in the entire world. JD Ross runs the Weirdwide podcast, and you've hopefully gone to listen to my episodes about creepy Christmas, tarot, and my episodes on weird news. Today, JD is here to share with us some of the research he's done about incels because I refused to do research about incels.
Well, I am happy to be back on. It is always good to be on this show. I love coming. I love hanging out. We were talking off air. We don't get to hang out enough. I love it.
That's the thing about, and I say it on the show until I'm blue in the face. I'm like, I started a podcast because I wanted my voice on a microphone, and now I produce podcast episodes so I can spend time with my friends.
Legitimately.
Out of everything that you could have covered on Weirdwide, why incels?
Okay, it's just like, have you ever experienced a more insufferable group of humans, or just like, it's just like because I love true crime. We've covered a little bit of true crime on Weirdwide. It's like the Ghost came on one time. We talked about it, a murder he was weirdly sort of involved in, but like incels are just this weird, I feel like kind of overlooked as far as threats go. And I say that because no one takes them super seriously, because they shouldn't be taken seriously.
No, at all. And to the point where, so I know in the intro I was like, I refuse to do research, but I did go back and watch those clips from YouTube that I had sent you months ago, if not a year ago, when we decided that we were going to do this.
Yeah.
And it was so uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And are these the ones that you watched where it's a kid in a mask and he's telling everyone why incels are justified as a subculture?
The one that I got weirdly obsessed with, I think he's gotten taken down since, but it was just this. I was full of rage watching this guy, and I think it was Neokum or something like that was his name, and he had these big nerd glasses, but he had this voice like this: "Women are inferior to men, and here are the reasons why." And I'm just looking at this guy, and I'm just like, you have the driest dick in the world, don't you? Because Jesus Christ, there's no way. It's just irritating. That's the one that I got really obsessed with. But what really fascinated me was because we do joke on them, but there has been actual deadly consequences because of them. Several situations, it's now more spree shooters like anything else, but several situations where it's a real threat that no one's really talking about.
Well, they're a real threat, and I think what makes an incel different than your run-of-the-mill narcissist or misogynist or whatever is their culture is a culture of violence. So it's a group of resentful guys who have decided that it's actually the world's problem and women's problem that they're not getting fucked, and they're angry about it, and they're angry to the point where all they can do is fantasize about ways to hurt women.
Yeah, and yeah, we actually, I think we kind of jumped the shark a little bit. We didn't like, I mean, like, because I was actually talking with, they came up today at work, my real job. We were, of all things, playing Cards Against Humanity at lunch, which was, it's just like, my job's pretty cool sometimes. I gotta say. But we were talking about incels because like some of the people legitimately didn't know what they were, and so like I had to kind of like explain to them what an incel is. So an incel, for everybody who doesn't know, is a dude who is involuntarily celibate, as he calls himself, which means, as you said, he can't get laid and he's angry about it. And it's this sense of entitlement that goes through the entire community.
Yeah, it's not, because I have had a real live man at a real live bar tell me that I should be more empathetic to their culture as a whole.
Absolutely not.
He's like, I'm not one, but like, aren't you upset that they're not desirable? And I'm like, no, that's none of my business.
No, and in fact, it's like there's a TikTok that's been floating around this week of like a study was done, and it's like a Fox News reaction. A study was done of like women are finding men who identify as Trump supporters less desirable, and they're like pissed off about it. It's like, well, read the room, like read the room.
What ends up happening is you can see my my friends and I have called it the, well, I will say, like, that man has hurt women in his timeline. He might have A, already hurt a woman, B, be currently hurting a woman, or C, will hurt a woman in the future. Because they will say something gross and it will be out of resentment, and it'll be because a woman was prettier or funnier or better at the game
Or
that we
she
were
just
playing.
didn't answer a DM or something like that. Just anything.
And it's immediate anger. And I think the trickiest part about incel behavior is that it does come off as sad boy bullshit, like sad sack bullshit.
Oh, they love that.
And people then go, well, if they're so sad, they're never going to be violent. And I'm like, no,
Not true.
guys who hit your wall at least release that anger and then go about their day. I'm not saying it's
It's
right,
not
and
good.
it's not good. I'd still tell you to break up with them, but it's at least released. I go, these sad sack guys that just sit there and hold it,
They just hold it in.
they just hold it in, and then they go on online forums and then they fantasize about all of the gross ways that they can make sure that you never speak again, or that you're gone, or your family never sees you again, or gross shit that they're going to go to your do to your family to show you who's powerful.
Yeah, and then at the same time, they're in these same forums, like usually on, like I think Reddit has a lot of them. I don't really get on Reddit a lot, but like where like other dudes that are in the same like mindset just start amping each other up, and they start like oh yeah, man, like what a bitch, fuck her, man, like she didn't answer your DM, fuck her, man, like it's like so like it's just another example of like we weren't prepared for the internet, but here we are, like as a society, as a species. And to me, like honestly, like I find like the unfuckability of a dude is mostly on him.
Well, and I think that's what makes me the angriest and makes me the least sympathetic is it's actually none of my business that you're undesirable at large. And it is also not on me. It is not my emotional or mental labor to convince myself that you're attractive or to convince the world that you're attractive.
Yeah, and here's the thing: is like every pot has a kettle. Like if it's truly a situation where it's like a couple, like most people don't get you or something like that, and maybe you are a little sad boy, but like there's still someone that will find like your traits desirable. But if it's every single woman, look inward.
Look inward. Another guest that I met through Gen Con and board game TikTok, Curvin from 4Y Games, he and I were talking about it. And I'm like, I'm tired of giving so many dangerous men a pass to be part of my inner circle because someone else is tolerating them, or someone else has decided, like, well, they're just sad, or they don't have a lot of confidence, or they whatever. And I'm like, Okay, but he stalked us and called us a bunch of names and screamed.
Well, and see, there's a big difference too. Is like because there's like you've got dudes that are a little sadder or a little less confident. Maybe they don't feel great about themselves, and like okay, there's something to work with there. But it's when they start going into the more dangerous behaviors, when they start with like the stalking, when they start with the just harassing women and things like that. Here's something funny. I don't know if you knew this, like, because when I did the episode on Weirdwide about it, I did a lot of research into it, and I felt just like I needed a shower. But did you know that like the term was actually invented by a woman?
I didn't. They didn't mention that in the brief docu series that I watched.
Yeah, it was invented by a woman who was like having it was like early days of the internet. She was having trouble meeting people, and she kind of like just offhandedly was like, "Yeah, I'm an incel. I'm involuntarily celibate, trying to get laid." She was like trying to be funny about it, like, "Hey, I'm out here trying to get laid, but I can't." And then dudes just like took it and just off with it.
So that's funny because another thing about incel culture that really makes my skin crawl is this idea that women hold all of this power when it comes to sexual relationships. Like, I could go home with four guys if I wanted to. I, as a woman, could get sex whenever I wanted, and I'm choosing to like make sure that they're not included. And it's like, well, number one, I don't know if you've looked around at 2023, but I'm losing body autonomy and like respect as a woman every day.
Yeah, legitimately, like it's like legitimately under attack at this point.
Yeah, it's a war against women.
Yeah, look up what is it? Is it Plan 2024 or Agenda 2024? Look that shit up.
Look that shit up. It's scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that something else that pisses me off is like when women in the very early stages of this country used to gather and get support from one another and like lean towards one another and share what herbs made their cramps go away.
Yeah,
We were burned as witches. Like there was a consequence to us gathering and like supporting one another.
that's a really good point. You don't really think about that, but that's absolutely fact.
That's what happens. And it happens a lot of times when women are seeking support and strength from one another, someone will make sure to come in and disrupt that because they know that BIPOC, queer, and female voices are starting to outweigh everything that is not that. And if we could only get our asses together and stand in a room together, we take over.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like it's the other side of the internet argument, like because movements have been started by women and BIPOC people, and like everything you just listed for centuries. It's just like it was whitewashed, it was suppressed, but like now people are like we see everything that happens, like we know what's going on, we see, and we're all connected. So that's the other side of the internet, like thing is everyone's able to connect and kind of see that, and we're seeing that like like an accelerated version of that happening, and I'm fucking here for it.
I'm fucking here for it. I will say that today, right before we got on this call, I was talking to my friend driving home from work, and she was talking about like the capitalism drag, about how as millennials and Gen Z and Gen Alpha, we are on to the game that capitalism and our jobs at large does not make any fucking sense. And and we're done pretending that it makes any fucking sense. And we're all click clacking on our computers for our little tokens, but we're not doing anything further. And she's like, but I'm sitting in a room during a professional development where it's all like kumbaya. I'm here for you. You're here for me. We believe that these widgets are changing the world that we're creating. I believe the data can and will get stronger. And she goes, and it's very isolating because the entire time I'm like, okay, but does everyone know it's bullshit? Or am I the only person who knows that it's bullshit? Like, is everyone feeling the existential drag that is late stage capitalism, or is it just me?
I know I fucking am. Like I hear like people talking about going on vacation. I don't know what the fuck.
I told her, I go, whenever I feel that way, like whenever I open a new bag of chips and I put a chip in my mouth and I go, that chip tastes different than it tasted 3 months ago when I bought it. And so I have this whole conspiracy theory that they're fucking around with our food and food is no longer food.
Oh, it's absolutely, yeah.
It would be a great Weirdwide episode.
It
So
honestly would. Like, I'd love to cover that at some point. I'd love to find like the hard evidence to support that because I know it exists. But like, none of our food is food. Like, especially in America, I don't know. My understanding is it's supposed to be a little better abroad. It's supposed to be a little better in like Europe and things like that. But I don't fucking know.
no, it's AI robot food. And so when I start to feel insane because gaslighting and capitalism and all of it, they keep us feeling insane. I'll just go on TikTok and I'll type in the search board, like the search bar, our food tastes different. And I just watch countless videos of people being like, it tastes different. It does not taste like pasta doesn't taste like grains anymore. And I'm like, aha, it's AI food. And then I feel better. Then I'm like, I'm not alone. And Stephanie's like, well, yeah, but that's what's the term when it's bias? Like that's just justification bias or whatever.
Oh,
Like
like it's like when you're like looking for the answer that you want.
yeah, and I was like, well, I get that, but and then it got me thinking about this upcoming recording because I was like, that's what incels are doing though. They're like, I can't be the only dude who's mad that women have decided that we're bullshit, and then they find a club.
Yeah, exactly. Because it used to be a situation of like a dude would feel that way, and he would like be a little like, and it would either pass at some point, and he would get laid, and he would move on with his life, realize that he was just there was something wrong with me. I like okay, like everybody think back to their fucking like high school selves, like the terrible clothes you wore. Everybody smelled. We all smelled. Like it's just like you grow. It's the same idea, but then you're right. They connect and they find this club of dudes who stop that growth. It's like this, like it was a. It's like like humans have found a way to like beat Darwinism when it comes to shit like that.
I love
Isn't
that.
that bullshit? Like that's what happens when you disrupt the natural order of things.
Because every once in a while I will get pissed off about something and I'm like, it is 2023. I should be an X-Men. Why have we not evolved to the next thing?
Yeah. Why is Chat GPT and Jasper drawing shit?
Not
Why isn't
me.
it doing the bullshit jobs while we draw and we create music?
I ask myself that all the time, especially with food tasting fake. I'm like, here's the thing. I'm all for food tasting fake if that's where we're at. If we've depleted the like earth of resources and it's got to taste like robot food, have it taste like robot food. Do not make me pay for it. Do not make me prepare it. I want a Jetsons computer in my house that's like, here's your robot burger.
I want that shit from Star Trek where you plug it in and it fucking just beams to you.
Yes, if we're gonna have AI food, let me have AI.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop making me waste my time being like, what did I do to the lasagna to make it taste this way? And it was a frozen Stouffer's lasagna.
Yeah, because there's not even a way to fuck that up, but it's like
No,
somehow it's
somehow it tastes fucked. Did you watch Amazon Prime's The Power?
The Power.
It
I
has
don't think I
Toni
did.
Collette in it.
Oh, but I like Toni Collette.
Okay, so it's a screen to book. It's a book to screen adaptation.
Okay.
And the premise of
They made a book out of that?
Yeah. I read part of the book for a book club, but the premise of the book and the show is women evolve to have something within their genetic makeup that causes them to be able to unleash electricity
Oh, shit.
from their body. And it has something to do with jellyfish, but it's been so long since I watched the show or read the book. But so whatever gives, or eels, whatever.
Okay,
gives,
that makes more sense.
Whatever gives eels, I'm a scientist. Whatever gives eels the ability to shock people and have electricity, like they found that women were evolving to also have that defense mechanism.
Fucking gnarly.
I was like, I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
Why would we need electricity coursing through our bodies to keep us safe? And then, of course, because we live in a patriarchal society and this book is quote unquote taking place in current time, the world is a hubbubaloo. Like it's like, oh my God. And women form clubs or then we have like the TERFs who are like, I can't be a woman walking safe on this earth knowing that other women have electricity. And like,
but it's like you have electricity. I thought that was like one of the whole like things. It's like, it's like a good guy with a gun. That was that whole thing. Like everybody's got electricity now. Well, every woman's got electricity now.
Well, so not like some women, because evolution doesn't just happen
Oh
overnight.
god. Okay. So it's not like every single woman woke up with that. Okay. Okay.
It's like Sabrina woke up, she was 16 and she found out that she was a witch.
Gotcha.
Like,
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
so, but what they found out was that women who had electricity
Yeah.
could shock other women and awaken that power in them and be like, now you do have it.
Oh,
Like they could spread it.
there's a lot of metaphors going on.
There's a lot of metaphors going
I love
on.
it.
And of course, like the world breaks down. One of the subplots is that Tony Collette's running for some sort of government office. Her son gets wrapped up in like an incel group where they're like, so women just think that they can't fuck us and they're gonna electrocute us. And it's fucking dark. And I was like, but that's the thing. You take a 15-year-old kid who didn't get asked out to prom and you go, hey, my guy, that was real fucking rough. What if you joined my club and women could never hurt you again?
Yeah, because it's all like it's almost cult mentality where they offer the protection, they offer the community.
Yes. And at the end of the day, despite the internet and all of it, like humans are pack animals. We grew up in villages. We used to. And so when you're already feeling isolated, the people that I allowed in my life because I was feeling isolated. So in a way, like we get it, but we don't understand why you had to burn down an elementary school to cope with your big feelings.
Right. Well, you can blame Reagan for cutting the mental health budget, but
I blame Reagan for everything. Every day
I
I
know you
wake
can pretty
up.
much blame him for everything. But like, okay, so like the idea that like, okay, let's say even if right now every single woman on the planet got the ability to just shock the shit out of somebody, I feel like here's part of the difference though, is like because there would be guys. I bet you there's guys in real life like in this subculture that have watched that or heard about it and talk shit about it because of the same shit you just said. But like I would be okay. I'd be jealous. I'd be like, I want some cool fucking electrical powers. I wish I had that shit. But I wouldn't like be concerned about getting electrocuted by anyone because like I work with an office that's like mostly women. Like there's staplers everywhere. There's nothing stopping anyone right now from just slamming me in the face with a stapler. At least two of them have guns. Like it's like I'm good. That's part of like the base idea though is like I'm not doing anything that's going to cause me to get electrocuted. What are you doing that like you're even considering you can get electrocuted?
I'll take it one delusional step forward. So Julia and I did Jurassic Park for Still Comfy, and it had been a while since I watched Jurassic Park. And what Jurassic Park made me realize is several times a year, I go to the zoo and I just trust the lion to be contained in that thing. Because I don't know if anyone's been in the zoo for a while, but because we believe in animals' rights now, those are pretty open enclosures.
Yeah, and my understanding is there's not really a science to it. It's kind of like, well, this should do.
I have to believe that someone did their due diligence on their chart to actually feed the lion so the lion doesn't have to act out.
Yes,
It didn't stop me going to the zoo because I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything that a gorilla would be pissed off at me.
right. Like honestly, yeah. Like I'm not the problem for the gorilla or the lion.
Yeah. And in fact, it's made me talk to the animals at the zoo more. So should they get irritated, they're like, but Natalie's cool. She's always been cool.
Honestly, I feel like I have it in me to make friends with like a wild animal, like a bear. I feel like I could be friends with a bear.
Yeah. It's because we have cats. We have wild animals living in our homes.
100%.
We
And
have
like,
predators that we just sleep with in bed. So I recently told my stepmom that there was no point in me fighting as hard as I would have to fight to get actually on paper diagnosed with ADHD if I know that I have ADHD. Because there's no employer in America that would actually give me accommodations. Because if they have to accommodate me with a work and home lifestyle or frequent breaks or whatever, the next thing on their lips is then I have to give everyone a 15-minute break when they feel like they need it. And my point is always who fucking cares?
Yeah. Like I say, give them the break.
Give them a break. But capitalism dictates that if everyone's taking 15 minutes, then you're missing out on $5 a week or something.
Yeah, they start like adding a number value to what they're losing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my stepmom did volley back with, well, they can't accommodate everybody because people do take advantage of their accommodations, which was my point. That's how people feel. And that's how incels feel. It's not that they have gross personalities or that they didn't shower enough or they just didn't try hard enough to not feel that like heated anger after a rejection to keep trying. And they're like, when is a woman going to come and fix this for me?
Yeah, legit. Like, when is mommy gonna come in and make this better? When's she gonna kiss my boo boo? Yeah, and it's a sense of entitlement.
Well, and like you said, I'm not worried about getting electrocuted. I haven't hurt someone that much. Have you seen Saltburn?
Uh-uh.
Saltburn is my new favorite movie, and I could talk decades about it. And today my sister told me I heard it was a fucking mess. And I went, who did you hear it from?
Yeah.
And she said, the internet. And I was like, here's two things I know about the internet. One, they hate it when women make movies.
Yeah.
Two, straight people can't hang. And this movie was for the weird girls, the queer girls, and the gay boys.
Hell yeah, dude. I love it.
Yes. But when I went and saw Saltburn, my sister told me, she tells me this every time I go to see a movie like Promising Young Woman or anything like that.
I heard that was really good. I really want to see that.
It's really good and it fuels me. So like these revenge movies that fuel me, like The Power, when I did side with the women who took their electricity and decided that they were going to go get justification for everything that's ever happened to them.
Yeah.
So my sister goes, I just don't understand the point of these revenge films, and I really don't like it as a story plot device. And I went, it's because no one's hurt you as much as they've hurt me. Like there's a darkness that lives inside of me.
Right. That you're like, and so like it's like living out a fantasy almost.
Yes. It's like when Stevie Nicks sings Silver Springs to whatever his name is, and she's fucking cursing him with every note. She's Lindsay Buckingham.
Yeah, that's the one.
Fucking looking him in the eye and being like, and you'll never get away from the sound of a woman who loved you. And she's fucking cursing him with every note. And she doesn't know it, but I know that's what she's doing. I was like, she's making sure that Lindsay's never
knows.
She claims she doesn't. She's like, why would people think I'm a witch? And I'm like, Stevie.
Come on. She's the proto witch.
But I was like, she's making sure that Lindsay would never be happy again. And I watch it every night before I go to bed to refill my power.
I love it.
And it's the same with Taylor Swift's All Too Well, the petty 10-minute version, where she tells Jake Gyllenhaal where he can take his breakup and shove it. And I'm like, it fuels me because I've been laid out on the ground, injured and hurt. The difference between me and my girlfriends eating a pint of Haagen-Dazs to get through that hurt is I've been made a mockery of. Incels keep getting told that we sympathize with them. They don't go to jail when they do crimes.
Yeah, well, and they don't. Like, or they get off easy. Like, it's just a slap on the wrist and some nonsense like that. It's never anything of substance.
Well, and Taylor Swift was just named Times Person of the Year, and
that doesn't surprise me at all.
It shouldn't surprise anyone, and yet the entire internet wants to hurt my feelings about it.
What's the issue? I don't really like.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider myself like a Swiftie. I got no problem with Taylor Swift, but like, I don't get it. But like, I'm not angry about it. Like,
you're one of the few.
Yeah. So like, what's the issue they have?
So the thing that currently is bothering me today is that people think that she's harking too much on the Kanye thing when Kanye interrupted her speech at the music awards and
Has
said,
she brought that up recently?
So I think she's bringing it up more in interviews now because Reputation is the next Taylor's version album that has to be released. And Reputation is a direct brain baby from the hurt and the recoil of that moment happening.
So she's got that on her mind a lot more lately.
Yes. Plus, I was telling Julia today about it. I go, she was also 17 when it happened. I go, I talk about how my first brush with depression happened when I was 16 and my grandma died. It's a core memory. I go, for her, Kanye did that, and then she was 17, and then her body went into depression, and it was probably the first time.
Yeah, and it was also like while she was like famous, so like there's no rest for that. There's no there's no getting through that like by conventional means at that point.
And I get really bent out of shape when people decide, and it's mostly because this is all of my YouTube comments, when men decide or other people decide what gets to count as a woman's trauma and whether or not her trauma was traumatic enough.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And I'm like, so we're just mad that she brought it up during an interview, probably because she was fucking asked about it. I go, and yet there is an entire subculture of men who act on their violent thoughts because women hurt their feelings. And we continuously tell Johnny Depp that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, legitimately. Well, and not only that, but like it's like with any other like weird group of people, like in any subculture, subgroup of people, there's going to be like people that step into a weird, like I guess like talk vacuum or leadership vacuum almost, and that's how you get people like Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes and just everybody else. Like like you could take some of the people that have like escalated it to like actual violence, like actual like when I say actual violence, I mean like notable. Holy fuck! There's people that are dead now. Violence, was Elliot Rodger is like he's one of the ones I talked about on the episode I did, and because I find him to be fascinating because like he's a he was just a little shitheel, and he decided to do this, and now he's like revered. That's the problem, is he's like revered. He's seen as a martyr amongst that group of people.
It's the people who still want to fuck Ted Bundy. Yeah. Yeah. He didn't look that much like Zac Efron. We can all calm down.
Yeah,
Like,
he was
like
okay. Like
no, I have a theory that not anyone was actually that good looking in the 70s. Like, if you look at people in the 70s, you're like, you weren't that great looking.
it was I mean, like there was a different level of attractiveness. I mean, okay, like who is the most attractive serial killer? Totally off topic, but who is the most attractive serial killer?
Well, I think if you're going looks wise, I think that Ted Bundy always wins that award in true crime circles. If you're going through charm and grace, I think Manson gets it.
But is Manson a cult leader or is he a serial killer?
Honestly, who could say?
That's true. There's also the guy that was on the dating show. I can't remember his name.
Oh.
But he was a brutal fucker. I think he was
Yeah.
in California.
But anyways, it's this whole idea that like we keep telling women that they're hurt and the things that matter to them that hold no value and should be quieted.
Well, what about his career?
What
What about
about
his future?
oh, because guess who's my neighbor? Brock fucking Turner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, seriously?
Well, he's not my like next door neighbor, but he lives back in this area now because this is where
Ugh.
he grew up.
Ugh.
Uh-huh. And they just let him out of prison after other men came forward and went, no, but we did kind of watch him do it.
Like, he literally did it. But they were like, but
Yeah.
his career.
And his
He's
dad
such
was
a...
like, he's a great swimmer.
Yeah, I was saying, what was his sport? Was it swimming? Like,
It was
like,
swimming, I'm pretty
who gives a
sure.
fuck about a swimmer? Honestly, I don't understand, like, the weird sports, like, dick sucking anyway, because it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I mean, it's like, I get it. It's going to lead somewhere, potentially, but it's like, okay, but what about the woman that he hurt? What about the others that may have, like, haven't even said anything about it? Because, like, that's another thing, too, is how many women don't come forward.
Correct. Also, part of me is nervous because I think that incel behavior is getting normalized because
It
of Joe
is.
Rogan.
Well, and that's what I mean. Like the leadership circles, like the talking heads for a movement. You got the Joe Rogans. I think it's weird because Joe Rogan he just used to be so much more normal, man.
He used
Like
to be hip.
he was a comedian. He was funny. And then, like, all of a sudden, he just starts going into this weird, believing everything and starting to have all these weird opinions. And it's like, bro, what are you doing?
Well, and something else that bothers me, and it's because I'm actually funny, is when they're like, well, Howard Stern and Joe Rogan and incels are rude to women because it's all a joke and it's all satire and you just don't get it.
But is it?
But is
That's the
it?
thing. Is it?
I can make
And
a
that's the thing.
lot
Is
of
it,
funny
and is
jokes.
everybody in on the joke? Like,
Yeah.
okay, I can accept that. Like, some people are like at the top of the. Like, okay, have you ever seen stuff from that? There's this guy from Australia named Nick Adams.
Mm-mm.
Okay, his whole thing is like, I'm a alpha male. Alpha males, they go to Hooters. He's weirdly obsessed with Hooters. Like, all shit like that. It's like alpha males, they don't do girly drinks. They drink a beer with the boys. Ever had a foursome with the boys? And when he says foursome, he means like golfing. But I'm like half convinced it's a satire account.
Oh, just like you might be a redneck if.
Exactly. Like from an artistic perspective, I can kind of respect that as a concept. Like I can accept the whole like this persona is a shithead or a piece of shit or a douche, and that's why it's funny. But like the problem is everyone in on the joke, or are there people with your jokes going, uh huh.
Also, I've watched Howard Stern like bully Anna Nicole Smith and just like, and she's weeping, and I'm like, bro, cut the tape.
I
Like,
mean, he did like that's not even the only person. There was a porn star from the '90s that he famously made cry, like on his thing, like bawling because he kept referring to her as an anal queen.
Dax Shepard, former
I was
misogynist
saying,
of the
what did he do? I'm not even like up on what he's done.
he fucking came for Jonathan Van Ness of Queer Eye fame.
Oh,
So Jonathan Van Ness was on the podcast. I will not listen to the episode. I think I read the transcript because I was like, you're not getting my views. But I did make him a nominee for Misogynist of the Year 2023 because I'm fucking over him. So they were talking.
I think Cody should win that one.
Cody
I have
Brown.
been glued to the goddamn.
I love
Like
the Sister Wives.
I have been glued to it.
Well, it's too late to vote now, everybody, but make sure you're on the up and up for Misogynist of the Year 2024 because I think I have to put Matt Rife on there.
Dude, and like that was a whole thing.
Yeah. So
Like
anyway,
that. Yeah, he.
yeah.
Sorry.
He knows he's on my shit list, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Um, just like Dax. But so Dax Shepard did what I think is the qualifying line that tells me all I need to know about you and that you're a shitty man. Well, I was just trying to play devil's advocate, except for you were trying to make Jonathan Van Ness debate about whether or not trans kids get to play sports and deserve health care. And
Jesus
all
Christ.
Jonathan Van Ness wanted to do was say if people were educated and healthcare was normalized for the trans community, none of this would be an issue because it would demystify the lives of trans people. And Dax had to argue for laughs and bits.
So, okay, what is Jonathan Van Ness? What does he do? Like, what was his? Because I know each one had a different like
Yes.
specialty. What was his specialty?
So first off, just because you're not a fan of the show, I'm gonna let you know.
No, it's just been forever since I've watched it.
Well, so since the creation of the show, Jonathan now goes by they them pronouns.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes. So Jonathan was the hairstylist and the skincare.
Okay, so if Dax had come out and been like, okay, some shit you said about this style or that style, like, no, bullshit. That's a discussion.
Mhm.
That's a debate. But like talking about like debating actual people's rights and actual people's life, that's a totally different thing.
And so then Jonathan cried and my entire world went red. And I was like, did you just make Jonathan fucking Van Ness cry? And Jonathan Van Ness says while crying, I am so exhausted and so tired of trying to make people understand that trans lives matter and that we're important and we deserve to live.
It's how do we keep repeating these cycles?
I don't know. I think it's because your people are in charge.
Hey, you know what? I don't want any part of that shit.
I think it's because we still continue to elect old white men to make decisions against our
Legitimately.
better judgment.
Legitimately. Like, the presidents are gonna, like, the candidates are gonna be in their 80s. It's ridiculous.
But to me, that's like the same level of entitlement because, like you said, if it was a hairstyle, like if Jonathan was trying to bring back the Rachel and
And
Dax
it was
went,
like,
is it 1997, Jonathan? I don't understand.
right.
Then
That's a fun
that's,
debate.
that's a
Then
fun
we're
bit.
having a good time. That's your bit right there.
Brennan Lee Mulligan from Dimension 20 and Dropout TV. He they used to do the show, and I don't know if it's still currently running or on the Dropout lineup, but he used to meet with other dungeon masters for D&D. And they would always take a hot button topic in
Okay.
TTRPGs. One of them that I can remember, and it was him and Abria Iyengar, who I also love. And it was physical dice or computer dice. And it doesn't matter which side you're assigned or you take because you get to go as the guest, like, I'm taking digital. And then it doesn't matter what Brennan thinks, you're just arguing. And it's something silly as people who love to be dice goblins like I
Yeah.
do, and
Yeah.
people who are like, digital dice are the only way that the dice are actually fair because all of your fucking glitter and rubber ducky shit or whatever loads dice and makes it weird and not
That's true.
standard.
That's
Like,
true.
so yeah,
But there's something about the physical.
and it's always funny and they always like go for someone else's personality or whatever, but you're all friends, so you know where the boundary lies. And Brennan has enough of a respect for Abria, and Abria has enough of a respect for Brennan that should a boundary be crossed, one of them's going to go, hey, pause, cut this because it's all like pre-recorded. That wasn't cool. Like, we're not talking about my dog today. My dog's having surgery or whatever. Like, whatever it could be.
Whatever's going on in your life for real.
And to me, I'm like, it's not that like no one should get to argue or debate or whatever, but yeah, people like women deserve to be safe going to the mall.
I mean, that's not even a radical statement.
Right. I say these things out loud like I should be able to feel okay loading groceries into my car at night. But now I have to time my entire day of thinking about if I can get to the grocery store before 4 because it's winter and it's going to get dark by 6.
Yeah, and you have to like legitimately factor in the darkness.
Right. And when my aunt went, I've never thought about it. And I was like, it's not even the darkness that makes me worried because I can park underneath a light
Yeah.
and ease some of my anxiety that way. I go, it's being distracted at night that
Yeah.
bothers me. It's I have to physically be loading stuff, have my back turned to where anyone else could be,
Vulnerable.
and I'm just and I'm vulnerable. And it doesn't pay to be a vulnerable woman out and
No.
about.
No.
And so here's Jonathan Van Ness taking the vulnerable stance of being like, hey, trans kids matter and they should get to play fucking basketball. And Dax is like, well, do they? And I'm like, you're an asshole.
Yeah. And it's like, what? Like, it doesn't even affect you.
Also, that.
That's the thing. Like, that's another thing is like everyone who's got a really hard opinion about this, it doesn't even affect you.
Doesn't even affect you. And then, like, because here's the thing, and we don't have to get into it because it's all insane and it's all just prejudice.
Yeah.
Masking as logic or science. But who the fuck cares? Why have we made football a multi-billion-dollar way to get into college? Like, why?
Because it's a scam. Because it puts butts in seats. It honestly, it goes back to the fucking Roman Empire. Like, as far as the whole, like, what is it? Keep them fed and keep them entertained. And they will, it's the same thing. It was in the book, 1984. Same fucking thing. Like, you keep them distracted, and they found a brilliant way to do that with football. I don't fucking get it. And other sports. I don't fucking get it. I've tried to like football. I just don't care. I just don't care.
I am vehemently anti-sports, but I am.
The only thing that I care about when it comes to football is Aaron Rodgers took ayahuasca and now he's seeing the Hat Man everywhere, and that is hilarious to me because he's turned out to be a bit of a piece of shit too.
Oh, and I am particularly against football because of the research that they keep blocking and paying to have not done about football and head injuries and
Oh,
violence.
legitimately.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see like a couple different sports, like honestly WWE, like
Oh
the
yeah.
pro wrestling, because like how many dudes from like Attitude Era are dead now? And then there was like the Chris Benoit thing where he like family annihilated, and it's just like no one talks about it.
No one talks about it.
Yeah.
Um, we'll continue to scream at the reckless violence on ice that we call hockey because I think
Yeah.
it's hilarious.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, like if it's a thing, maybe I just don't get it. Like, and I'm not trying to shit on a fandom, but like there is a scam culture behind it.
Yes. Well, and the scam culture is always capitalism. Because also part of the reason why I'm worried that incel culture is becoming trendy and more of the norm is the same reason that women buy pussy hats for the march. Because if they can sell you a trinket for your identity, they're going to sell you a trinket.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And then we have to and then I have to grapple with when witchcraft became trendy. And I was like, are all of my rocks sellout rocks? I just really liked rocks.
And that's the thing is like you can, but like it's just a thing, it's just how it is, and that's human nature to a certain extent.
So I'm worried about the day where it won't be pro abortion t shirts that are sold all over Etsy. It'll be rape culture t shirts, my God, or whatever. Every day, I am still convinced I'm waking up to The Handmaid's Tale, and my bonnet is in my mailbox.
Yeah, legitimately, like it's getting to that point, and people think that like it's a joke, but it's like it's not. It's
It's
like
not.
it's getting bad.
Every time the internet glitches, I'm like, here it is.
Yep,
They're turning off the internet because they don't want us to know what the fuck they're up to.
because that's how it happened. It was like really, it was like all in one day, like the whole plan. Like, oh my god.
Because all of our money is
Yep.
online, all of our stocks are online, our entire
Mm-hmm.
yep. We all, I mean, we all watched the show.
Yeah, yeah. I tried to read the book, but I couldn't get through it. It was just like, god damn.
I've read the book twice
Yeah.
and the sequel.
Well, I didn't know there was a sequel. I also pretty sure I have ADHD, so I have trouble reading books.
Yes.
That's just a me thing.
Well, we are going to record a Patreon episode, so let's wrap up with our two traditions. What was the life lesson you took when you did the deep dive on incel culture?
I would say like just speaking to dudes, like just take a minute and think, like, okay, like I keep going back to the DM thing. I don't know why, but like you sent a DM, she didn't answer. There's a myriad of reasons she didn't. Like maybe she's busy, maybe she's stressed, maybe she just doesn't fucking like you. Move the fuck on. Take a minute, just be like, you know what, that's cool. Like just chill. Like stop thinking as objects, think as autonomous creatures because that's what the fuck they are. Women are not objects for these dudes that are just sad in their basement to just have, and you need to like come to terms with that fact and
Right.
get the fuck over yourself.
You don't
That's what I took from that.
you don't get up, cross the room, and kick the dog because the dog didn't want to sit in your lap. And if you do, you're a sociopath.
Yeah, and
But
you should be put away.
and you should be put away. But it's the same thing with women not giving you attention. You wouldn't walk up to me in a bar and clock me in the face because I wasn't giving you attention. So stop hiding behind the coding that is the internet.
Right. And like legitimately, like take a second to think like, okay, why though? Like, is it me? Like, is there something about me that's just like cause like honestly, like to a certain degree, women do tend to like have more attention just because of creepy fucking dudes. So like, yeah, a chick can get laid anytime she wants if she lowers her standards enough. That's just a fact. But like think of like what are you bringing to the table? Like what are you offering? What should make her go, oh, uh-huh, instead of Jesus Christ? Like She don't want a project. What are you bringing to the table?
What are you bringing? I am so it's my fault either way. It's my fault if you're not attracted to me. It's my fault if I'm not attracted to you.
It's all
Like,
your fault. It's all your fault.
yeah, because I was born with a uterus.
Yep.
I didn't ask for this, and I did not ask to be here.
Should have thought of that.
What is your manifestation for going forward?
My manifestation is that I'm going to get violent with it. All of the talking heads, the Nick Fuenteses, the Andrew Tates, they all die in a horrible car accident, and people start waking up as the incel culture dies off. That's my hopeful manifestation. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, but I hope for a lot of, like, just a couple people to die and a lot of people to just get in line.
My manifestation is going to be that I hope more men go to therapy, but
That's
also
probably a better one.
But also that makes me nervous because sometimes they just use therapy language against us. And
Oh,
I'm
it's like
like,
they learn just enough, and yeah.
So there has to be like special man therapy, I guess, where it's like they're not learning all of the terms to weaponize against me, but they are learning how to like do things with their big feelings.
You know, they're like, okay, like we're teaching like coping skills for your fucking feelings. Like, I understand you're mad. I understand you're upset. But like, here's what you got to do when that happens, because it's gonna happen, man.
The man I am retreat. If you call it a retreat, then rich people are back on board.
That's true, and they're gonna need the fun. We're gonna need the funding from them.
So if you call anything a retreat, there's a rich person who will fund
That's a fact.
it, and
That's a
that's how
fact.
we got Scientology.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, because I am also in this weird space where I see privileged, narcissistic, or incel entitled men colonizing things like therapy and mental illness and all of it, and just being like, this is something that only we feel and only we deserve, and we're going to use it to make your life more hellish. And I'm like, thanks.
See, I hadn't even considered that as an option of like therapy just being weaponized like that.
Oh, I've had therapy language weaponized against me. And now I pointed out to other women who I see their partners doing it to them. I'm like, he's weaponizing boundary language against you. He heard your boundary and countered it with his own therapy language to make you feel bad.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
God, it sucks here.
It's a sick fucking world.
This fucking planet, man.
JD, tell everyone where they can find you.
Absolutely. You can go to find my podcast, Weirdwide. It's www.weirdwide.com. Got some fun. So I don't know when this episode is going to be out. By the time it's out, I should have some new material. I've taken a little bit of time off recently. I think we're going to talk about that on the bonus episode. But I got a new co-host joining the show. Really excited about that. We get along great. She's awesome. She's a better researcher than I am. So it's going to be awesome. Check us out there. You can find me on Insta, TikTok, even Clapper if you want for some reason. As at Dudist Weirdo.
Even Clapper if you want for whatever reason.
I got on it when it was like TikTok was going to be going down. It was like the government was like, we can't have China spying on us, and I was like, oh, I better get on fucking Clapper, and it's not good. It's not very good.
Yeah. But. So speaking of the eventual takedown of all social media because someone somewhere decided that they needed more money, Julia and I had a lot of creative collaboration discussions, and we're moving a lot of the free stuff that's like considered bonus stuff. So think blogs, think like vlogs, think stuff over to Patreon. So if you were worried that you had to pay me for Patreon, there is stuff on Patreon that you do not have to pay for. Every year, Misogynist of the Year will be free to get people excited about our new series called The Misogyny Meltdown, where I get real hangry about things that I see.
That's awesome.
Yes, because against all odds, this is actually me being professional and holding it together. But
this is as good as it's going to get.
But when I tell you that the Misogyny Meltdown is owning up to his name as a meltdown, I'm telling you that I am writing skits to troll Jake Gyllenhaal, the Jake Gyllenhaals and Dax Shepherds of the world. Like I
love it. I'm here for it.
And if you pay for Patreon, you get access to the video of our Misogynist of the Year award ceremony where I took on the identity of the winner and gave a speech. So I made it my Oscars, baby.
Hell yeah.
So go check us out on social media. Follow all of the links in the show notes to find JD and I. And remember, tolerators, you don't have to smile through anything you're tolerating, including trolls in your comments that say if you sucked dick better, you wouldn't get harassed. Smiles are for joy.